is a fortunate tramp, chapter 23, entitled Odd Job Man. The people filed in and nearly everyone seemed surprised and pleased to see Jack. A few people patted his head and gave him a quick stroke, but he didn't seem to mind. He seemed to bring about the best in people. Jack jumped up excited when the organ began, and the music filled the room. Tom enjoyed most of the service. He wasn't going to be converted, but it was nice to be around people. After the service, Tom had coffee and biscuits. Jack jumped up and took one out of his hands, which made everyone laugh. Tom chatted to the vicar and felt happier than he had for a long time. There was a small shower in the church, and he was offered its services. This was a relief. The last thing he wanted was to smell bad. He didn't want to lose his self-respect. That was vital. He even had a few women talk to him, but romance was the last thing on his mind at the moment. Jack was like a magnet, bringing people into his orbit. He lay in his sleeping bag with Jack snuggled up to him. He was feeling pleased with himself, and it was true that sometimes the smallest things can bring the biggest difference. He watched the stars as they disappeared like fireflies, and then darkness enveloped him. He woke to Jack licking his face, which was not altogether unpleasant. To his amazement, there were a couple of tins of dog food and biscuits left for Jack. He couldn't believe it. He was eating better than him. He was so hungry he was tempted to try one for himself. He listened to Jack happily munching away, and it was a good way to wake up in the morning with a smile. He was running seriously low with money, and he had found a cheap cafe in town where he could have breakfast to warm him up. He was glad he didn't have to feed Jack, but he needed to do something about his own position, and quick. Finding a scrap of paper, he wrote on it, "Odd job man, work needed," and he pinned it to the church notice board. He'd heard at the service that the Lord helps those who help themselves, and he decided to see if it was true.